insist we don't censor their work, then we can't.
Welcome to WatchMojo's Cartoon Countdown, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 times South Park was censored. Number 10, South Park Pinball.
Hey, Chef! Do you think we can still make it in time?
This remake of the 1999 table was a treasure for South Park fans. While the tables come with a small helping of references to the show, there is something about the personality and charm that's missing here. That's because the table was rated E10+ for everyone ages 10 and up. Yes, you can turn on PG-13 mode to allow some profanity, but even then, there's some clear restraint in humor and dialogue. Number 9, Rainforest Schmainforest. For Latin America, it wasn't until 2007, 8 years since the episode aired, when the Costa Rican government took umbrage with it. Longtime viewers might recall a scene where Cartman remarks about the smell of the rainforest. And yes, this is what caused a stir and would get the episode banned.
Oh my god, it smells like ass out now.
All right, that does it. Eric Cartman, you respect other cultures this instant.
Several redubs and edits were made until a new cut that toned down the dialogue was finally approved in 2011. Number 8, Pinewood Derby. Pinewood Derby saw the world in possession of a new currency they dubbed Space Cash, and not everyone was portrayed in the greatest light, particularly Felipe Calderón, the then president of Mexico. This conflicted with Mexico's Ministry of the Interior and how they wanted Calderón presented. On top of that, MTV failed to secure a proper license to allow airing the episode without altering the Mexican flag. And so, the episode was pulled from air until April 2010, roughly a year after its initial premiere.
Hey, Mexico! We said no spending the space cash yet! What the hell are you doing?
Number 7, South Park Let's Go Tower Defense Play. While it isn't as outrageous as the show, Let's Go Tower Defense Play faced some trouble during its development in terms of staying true to its source material. In addition to Microsoft Japan demanding several cuts, developer Double Six had to go through multiple name changes to fit with Microsoft's guidelines for the Xbox Live Marketplace. Achievements also had several revisions, as Xbox achievements cannot contain profanity or obscene imagery. Number 6, Proper Condom Use. This episode is arguably the most risque we've seen South Park, and it certainly caused a commotion among several parties. The UK and Taiwan outright refused to air the episode because of its sexual content. While Proper Condom Use aired without any problem, Comedy Central approached creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone and asked for a cut that shortens one very graphic scene.
That's a condor, Jenny, condor. Condoms are what we use to stop the spread of STDs.
Since then, this edited version is used for reruns as well as for home media releases. Number 5, Bloody Mary.
The statue of the Virgin Mary has started to bleed.
Bloody Mary was an episode that caused a ton of uproar within religious communities, so much so that the episode was pulled from reruns. According to Parker and Stone, Comedy Central had called them, stating their intent to pull the episode from reruns. The thing is that once Bloody Mary had been pulled, several other organizations came out and started demanding other episodes be pulled as well, igniting a series of headaches for Comedy Central and South Park Studios. Number 4, South Park. This first-person shooter wasn't exactly an ideal debut for South Park in the world of video games.
Cool, dude! Cool!
Funnily enough, this game was slated for a release on Game Boy Color at one point. Parker and Stone had a problem with this port, not because of quality or anything to do with the game, but because they know how Nintendo marketed the Game Boy Color to kids, and putting something like South Park on there would generate a ton of problems. The game was canceled, but some finished cartridges were kept as commemorative pieces, and ROM files for the port were leaked online in 2018. Number 3, their brief time on Netflix. What many forget is that South Park was on Netflix at one point before. Unfortunately, this was arguably not the ideal way to watch the show. Every episode was heavily censored regardless of what age or profile you were watching on. In other words, you were forking over cash to Netflix just to get the same experience you would get on cable TV. If you wanted to watch the show uncensored, you'd have to go to Hulu instead.
You just had to push it, didn't you, Stan?
Number 2, South Park, The Stick of Truth. To make the launch as smooth as possible, some liberties had to be taken for its European and Australian release, as well as some regions in Asia. Anyone who has played or seen the game knows why. graphic imagery that's sexual, violent, pertains to Nazis, and much more. Stick of Truth would famously replace some of these scenes in Europe and Australia with still images of a face-palming statue and a crying koala in their respective regions. Number 1. The Muhammad episodes. Super Best Friends, Cartoon Wars Parts 1 and 2, and 200 and 201 have long been marred in controversy, all for the same reason: depicting the Islamic prophet Muhammad. These episodes did manage to air, and even went up on South Park Studios' website for streaming, but all 5 caused such a stir that they would all be pulled from the site. This was because Parker, Stone, Comedy Central, and everyone at SPS would receive vicious threats from religious organizations.
Once again, we have just learned that the Family Guy episode featuring Muhammad was only part 1 of a 2-parter. And part 2 is going to air next week with Muhammad uncensored.